What happens to your tax return when you separate from your spouse? Hi, I'm Alicia Kinchlow, the owner of Kinchlow Law, a family law practice based in the Philadelphia area. Now, it's tax time, and a lot of people have questions about what happens when it's time to file your taxes and you separate it. So, a lot of the questions that I get are twofold. One of them center around the correct way to file your taxes, whether it's married or filing separately. And then the other question is around who is able to claim the children. Now, with all of these questions, you want to speak not only with your attorney, but you also want to speak to your tax professional. And I think it's extremely important that if you are married and you're going through a divorce, that you absolutely speak with a tax professional before filing your next taxes. That way you can avoid a host of issues. What you want to remember is that when you're filing your tax return in the midst of a divorce, you're not only thinking about your strategy in terms of a divorce or in terms of child support or spousal support, but you're also thinking about whether or not you're opening yourself up to liability issues with regard to the IRS. And that can be very scary if you do that. Now, your attorney is not going to be able or may not be able to give you a lot of information or advice regarding your tax returns, because for most attorneys that is not their professional specialty. And usually in their retainer agreements, like ours is, we specify that we are not giving tax advice or financial advice, but we do have enough information to sometimes be able to give you guidance about what you should or shouldn't do, but always with the additional piece that you should speak with a tax professional. Now, first of all, when it comes to claiming the children, you want to make sure that you not only look at what you guys are doing, but you also want to look at who has primary physical custody of the children, whether you have shared physical custody of the children, meaning that there's 50-50 custody of the children, and what the IRS rules specify. So you want to make sure that you understand what the current year's rules are with regard to who may claim the children. And then you also want to look at the situation if you have come to an agreement about who will claim the children. So sometimes a custody order or a support order or an agreement between the parties will specify that one party is allowed to claim certain children, or that you will alternate years if you're claiming the children one year and the other year, especially if you have shared physical custody. So you want to make sure that you abide by either an agreement or order that's in place, and then you also want to make sure that you abide by the IRS rules. Now, when it comes to determining how to file your taxes, you want to make sure that you do not run afoul of any of the requirements with regard to the IRS. So if you are filing a tax return, you may have always been the person who filed it in the family. If you typically are the person who takes care of the finances, you may go ahead and think that you still have the right to file the tax return on your spouse's behalf. And that simply is not the case. Whenever you are completing the tax return forms, it requires the person who's completing the form or the people who are responsible for the tax return to indicate that they agree with what's in there and that they agree to sign the form. And if you sign the form on your spouse's behalf without their permission, your actions are tantamount to fraud and can open you up to criminal liability in addition to other civil issues. And then you have the other situations that may come into play when it comes to divorce if you keep the tax return. So you really want to be careful about the things that you do whenever you're going through a separation and you're looking at the tax returns, because it can cause havoc not only in family court but also with the IRS. Now, as always, you want to speak with an attorney licensed in your state, and in this situation you want to speak to your tax professional as well about your exposure and about the facts specific to your case. Make sure you hit subscribe on this video so that you can get notifications each time we drop a new video, because of course we're doing one every day of 2021 on custody, divorce, and support. All right, until next time, take care.